Welcome to the Fallon Forum. Y'all like the new glasses? You know, Maddie, I should not be allowed to go shopping on my own. I don't know if people can see these glasses, but they have rhinestones in them. They have beautiful frilly parts. And you would think, why would a totally straight guy like me buy such beautifully delicate and feminine glasses? And
didn't your last glasses have hearts on them, or your sunglasses?
I had sunglasses with hearts on them. I have another pair. I am shopping illiterate. I cannot shop. I will always buy something that's not supposed to be bought by me anyway. Because I go to the glass section. I go to the cheap glass section and I see 200. It used to be 175. Now it's 200. And I just grab that and I go. And I don't even look to see what the glasses look like. Anyway, I think they're pretty cool. I'm actually getting used to them. I may buy frilly glasses from now on. Henceforth, I shall be known as the talk show host sporting frilly glasses or not. Hey, all right, so there's a lot to talk about as always, and I'd rather just sing silly songs like I was doing on the way into the studio, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to revel a little bit, or what do I want to say? Yeah, I guess revel in the fact that the Senate defeated the proposed construction of the Keystone Pipeline. I'm darn happy about that. A lot of people are happy about that, but we should not, and really, take credit for it. That happened because you got out there and called the people who needed to be called. You called your senators. I mean, when I called Harkin's office yesterday, and somebody said to me, I asked them if they were getting a lot of calls. They said, well, yeah. And I called Grassley's office, and again, Grassley and Harkin voted the opposite way on this, with Harkin casting the vote against the Keystone Pipeline. I asked Grassley's staff person the same question. Are you getting a lot of calls on this? Oh, yeah. They weren't able to tell me which side of the conversation the calls were coming in on. But that was happening all across the country. I don't know, hundreds of thousands of people probably weighed in on the Keystone vote yesterday. And it made it happen. It was a part of why that proposal failed. You know, and Keystone has become a symbol, a very important symbol. And again, not only are people stepping forward to say we're going to lobby our congressmen and our senators to stop this, many of us have agreed to put our names on a piece of paper, well, actually on a computer program, on a on an online petition being circulated by Credo, yeah, the phone people, saying that if Keystone gets to the point where it looks like it's going to happen, we will risk arrest. 100,000 people, probably by now over 100,000 people have signed up to do that. That is unprecedented. It's also unprecedented that a phone company would be the one leading the charge on that. So, you know, there are elements of corporate America that get it, that understand that we've got a problem. And that the climate crisis is at root bad for business. Somebody listening in Eastern Iowa, please go tell that to Congressman Dave Lopsek. I am sorry, I am embarrassed. I'm embarrassed that Iowa has Steve King and now Joni Ernst as a congressman and a U.S. senator. I'm also embarrassed by our lone Democrat. I'm sorry, Dave Lopsek, a man who I helped get elected. So don't slap me now. I mean, who voted for the Keystone Pipeline? Why? You have the only Democratic district in the state. You have hands down the most progressive district in the state. I mean, we had until this last election, we had, until recently, I'll say, we had 3 Democratic congressmen. You know, Boswell here in central Iowa, Braley up in northeast Iowa, and Lopsek in eastern and southeastern Iowa. And that is by far the most progressive of the 3 districts. And yet, Dave Lopsek votes for the Keystone Pipeline. I'm trying to find out why. And I can't seem to get an answer to that question. I called this morning to his office, and they passed me on to somebody else. Can't remember her name now. I called this afternoon because I hadn't heard back. She got a hold of somebody in Washington, apparently, and nobody ever contacted me. Nothing. Not an email, unless it's just come in. Nothing at all. And that is very disappointing to me. Congressional representatives should be more responsive than that. To constituents, yes, but to when somebody involved with the press, the media in some form, whether it's online or otherwise, they should be more responsive. So I don't know why he voted for the Keystone Pipeline. I'm going to guess it has something to do with the tiresome claim of jobs. Now, I'm all for jobs. I don't think anybody is against finding a way to make sure we have adequate, not just adequate number of jobs, but good employment, good jobs, meaningful jobs. Nobody's against that. The question is, the couple questions. One is, what is the role of government in seeing that those jobs happen? And the other question is, what do we always do something just because someone jumps up and says jobs? Or do we think about the bigger impacts? And unfortunately, that seems to be what's happening for some people when it comes to the Keystone Pipeline, and closer to home when it comes to the pipeline proposed in Iowa, running from the northwest corner of the state. I guess I should do it this way: the northwest corner of the state all the way down to southeast Iowa, through Congressman Loebsack's district. I want to know where he stands on that pipeline. My concern is that he is going to be like the state Democratic senator that I spoke with recently, who is progressive in some ways, but said, I've got to support that pipeline. I said, why? Why would, you allege concern, you state concerned about the environment, about climate change, and you're going to support this pipeline? Well, because of the jobs. Because of the jobs, and because unions backed me in my campaign. I have a feeling the second item is probably higher on the priority list. But that's why unions are coming out in favor of this. Again, I suspect not all unions are for this. And I certainly know that all union members are not for this. But I know we had the head of Iowa's, the AFL, and the head of the building trades come out recently with a op-ed piece in the Des Moines Register stating support for the pipeline. And again, part of the argument is jobs. Part of it is safety, getting it off trains and onto into pipes. And that I'm going to share some stuff with you soon regarding just how unsafe that is. When you start looking at the number of spills and the number of times pipelines break, you start wondering where the whole argument of pipes are safer than trains ever came from. Yeah, sure, we have trains that explode, that derail. We have one in Quebec a while back that kills 47 people. How horrible tragedy. Horrible. And that's just one train. Yeah, so you have that. And you have the pipelines. And the correct answer is, to the question, trains or pipelines, the correct answer is neither. Option C, none of the above. And I don't know why some don't seem to get that. Well, we've got to do pipes that are safer than trains. Neither pipes nor trains are safe when it comes to the impact on our climate. Nothing, no way, shape, or form, transporting, refining, and then burning oil is safe for our planet. We have to get beyond that. And I don't understand, in particular, why a college professor, someone who, by definition, must understand the importance of science. The guy has to get science. He's a college professor. And yet Congressman Loebsack voting for the Keystone Pipeline. And again, I don't know where he's at on the issue of the pipeline in Iowa, but I want to find out. And Maddie, we may put a break in today to give me a chance to try to pull that up. But I got to know, and I got to know, is your argument going to be like the Democratic senator I spoke with this week who said, well, unions supported my campaign and they want this pipeline? Is that what it's all about? I mean, that's the argument that a lot of Democrats use against corporate money influencing Republican candidates. Well, this candidate, that was the Braley argument, wasn't it? Joni Ernst is bought and paid for by the Koch brothers. Yeah. I don't like that, and it's true. And so what's different about being bought and paid by the Koch brothers and thus supporting a pipeline, or being bought and paid for by organized labor and thus supporting a pipeline? Either way, we get stuck with a pipeline. We get stuck with eminent domain tearing up our farm ground over the course of 400 miles across the state. And we get stuck with a conduit to transport tar sands oil across this country to refineries, putting that junk up in the atmosphere where it continues to exacerbate the climate problem. That said, I need a break. I'll be right back. And if you want to join this conversation, 855-244-0077. Or if you're calling locally, 515-244-0077.
Real Estate Concept Studios. This is Webcast One Live.
I'm Brian Leach, owner of Service Legends, and my position is Chief Talent Officer.
I'm Nicholas Wonderscheid.
I am Bernie Homs,
And I'm the Service Manager.
Marketing Director and Client Relations Manager.
Everything that we do is about ensuring that we exceed your expectations.
Our clients are important to us. 100% satisfaction.
We're not just focused on heating and cooling. That's the easiest part of our job, actually, is fixing furnaces and air conditioners.
Everyone that we come in touch with, we want to improve lives.
Bottom line is, we've got our installation guarantees, 25% energy savings guarantee, comfort guarantee, temperature selection guarantee, property protection guarantee.
100% satisfaction guaranteed. Fixed rate or it's free.
All of those guarantees are backed up with a 100% money-back guarantee to hold ourselves accountable to making sure that you get what you're after.
Just fixing the problem today. If they have another problem 5 days down the road, it's still fixed rate or it's free.
We use what's called straightforward pricing. Our technicians are going to give you an exact to-the-penny price on what it's going to take before they move forward with any repair. That way you know what to expect.
It's the same price every day.
No surprises.
If you get off work at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you come home, you realize that, oh, my furnace is broken. Now you need to call somebody out that night. You shouldn't have to pay more for that.
We're guaranteeing service 24/7.
We run afternoons, evenings, nights, weekends. We're staffed to work that.
Phone rings at 3 in the morning. You'll get one of our representatives answering the phone every time.
We're not sending you out to Timbuktu in some call center. It's our Service Legend team members, our mission control team,
I'll take a call anytime.
and then they answer the phones the same way during the day as they do at night.
It's a great day at your service company. How can we make you smile?
That's the only way to provide true 24-hour service.
When you're able to let somebody actually live in their home safely when they weren't able to do that before, where they don't have to stay up at night and worry about, is the heat going to come back on? Are we going to freeze the pipes? Is the baby in the room next door going to be sick because they got too cold? When you're able to help somebody overcome challenges like that, that's impacting a life. That makes a difference. I get goosebumps thinking about it.
I love the team. I love the people that I work with.
We have fun, but we work hard.
I call them my ambassadors of legendary service. If you could just envision what that is, that's who we're sending to your home.
They literally will call in, pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I want to talk to your manager. And I get on the phone, they're like, that technician that was at my house was the greatest technician ever. That's cool to me.
We want to brighten people's days.
Every person that we have going into the house has gone through an extensive background check.
Drug testing, we have a very thorough interview process that 1 out of 140 people make it through.
If we promise you something, that's what you're going to get, no matter what.
We're here when you need us to protect the safety and comfort of your family.
If you're not happy, we're gonna make it right.
If we're willing to put 100% money-back guarantee on what we do, what type of work do you think we do?
Give us a call. We're there for you 24/7, 365 days a year.
Enough said.
Welcome back to the Fallon Forum. And I want to talk a little bit later in this program about the proposal for a high V on Court Avenue. That's pretty significant. It ties in with a good editorial by the Des Moines Register on the, Tomorrow Plan, and the need for public transportation, which apparently the members of the MPO that recommended a much higher level of spending for public transportation are now backing off. Anyway, tied in with that a little bit, I've got to share Rosie Partridge's criticism of the Des Moines Register's editorial on the pipeline. Again, here's what I don't get. The Register understands the importance of public transportation, of clean air. They know we have a climate crisis, and yet they come out in support of the pipeline. I'm not tracking. There is a logical disconnect going on here. And Rosemary and D.G. Partridge from Wall Lake, a county, Sac County, where the pipeline will go through, nail it on the head. What they point out, again, the Register is citing the alleged benefits of jobs and economic development from the pipeline. Again, look at the study. The study they're looking at is published by the industry, or sponsored by the industry. It was commissioned by Dakota Access. This is the company that wants to build the pipeline. It was commissioned by them. It's filled with all these estimates of jobs and benefits, and the Register just presents them as verbatim, as facts. Now, somebody that I really, really respect, and somebody that people on both sides of the political aisle really, really respect, is a professor of economics at Iowa State University, Dave Swenson. Professor Swenson, he was weighing on a lot of issues relevant to things I was working on in the State House over 15 years ago. Well, he has an opinion about the study that the Des Moines Register is touting, the study commissioned by the pipeline builder. He says he is, quote, very skeptical of the industry study and argues that, quote, these types of estimates are typically much higher than careful analysis or reality can confirm. And the problem is they throw these studies out and the public hearings come quickly. Again, there was hardly any discussion of this until it was already fast-tracked. This just came up in July. And it's had a couple little bumps now with the public hearing. Although I've heard, I need to confirm this. I've heard that now instead of having a public hearing in every county as we are supposed to have, they're just going to do one or two. I've got to confirm that. I heard a rumor about that from a landowner who called me today, a landowner who he and his neighbors are being affected, and they are very much against this pipeline. So anyway, Swenson's right. And why would you attach, for example, a Democratic candidate running for governor or a Republican candidate running for governor commissions a poll and releases the results, and the media have enough sense not to take that too seriously. So why is this any different? The person, the corporation benefiting from the pipeline puts together a study, says everything's going to be wonderful, and how do you justify taking that seriously at all? So I'd love to see someone come in and analyze that study and provide another perspective on how many jobs are we really talking about here? How much economic development does this really mean? And more importantly, what is the impact to landowners? And even more important, what is the impact to climate, to the planet? Let's see that study. But of course, that costs a bunch of money. That is a big piece of research. And also, we don't have a lot of time. Again, this thing is on the fast track. Anyway, I love the way that the Partridges conclude their letter to the editor. We are among the many Iowans who realize climate change is very real, and we will weigh in with a resounding no. Let fossil fuels stay in the ground as we continue to develop clean energy alternatives. And that, again, is the flaw in Kathy Obradovich's column yesterday. Well, it's going to be burned anyhow, so it might as well come through here. That's anyway. Thank you, Partridges, for some sense, and I hope again you are successful in keeping it out of your county. Okay, so before we talk a little bit about Court Avenue, one more thing on the pipeline issue. That is an argument made again. Pipelines are safer than trains. Well, this is an interesting article published 2 days ago. This is in Daily Kos. It talks about how Alberta is a state largely dependent upon gas and oil production. It talks about how the media, the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, the media in Canada, does not provide coverage of the spills and gas releases that happen every month, nor the efforts to clean up these messes. It's simply not considered news, and I guess if it's happening all the time, maybe it's not news. But it is still important, of course, and it should be discussed, and it should be factored into conversations we're having in Iowa about whether we deserve a pipeline crammed down our backbone. Okay, so again, I'd love to see this happen here in Iowa. What happened in Alberta, the West Coast Native News, I presume that is a news publication perhaps associated with some of the many native tribes in Alberta, in northwestern Canada, has been keeping tabs on these spills and leaks and have found that it's pretty bad. They're reporting on all the spills. And over the past year, they've reported reported over 600,000 liters of toxic waste that is not just oil, but related waste that is spilled 600,000 liters just last month. Just last month, okay? They've been following this for years, and just looking at 1 month, last month, 600,000 liters. Okay, that's about, divide that by 4, and you get roughly the number of gallons. It's a lot. And that spilled just last month, and yet not one mainstream media outlet in Canada or the U.S. has picked up the incidents. So the study goes back and looks at October. Here's what the mainstream media in Canada is not telling Canadians. On October 3, the Canadian Natural Resources Limited dumped 10,000 liters of crude oil. Nexen Energy is responsible for several spills. Husky Oil, 30 kilometers southeast of Vermilion, 50,000 liters of crude oil and half that much of toxic water. I presume there's some fracking involved there. And it goes on and on. Now, the person writing this story for Daily Coast went back and looked at July, August, and September and found that October's incidents were not unusual. You know, sometimes you think, okay, they got to hold up October because it was particularly bad. No. July, there were 27 incidences, 16 of which involved pipelines spilling either crude oil or gas. 16 in 1 month. 16 pipeline spills in Alberta in 1 month. Do I have to say that one more time? 16 pipeline spills in Alberta in 1 month. So this whole notion that pipelines are safer than trains, that pipelines aren't going to break and leak, come on. The evidence is clear. And the press is not reporting it. So yeah, I mean, let's, if the Register still had a good investigative reporter in the environmental beat, Perry Beeman, we miss you, they would turn somebody loose on this question and see what these figures from Alberta mean for Iowa if we should go down the road, and I hope we don't, of building this pipeline. August saw, this is back in September. In September in Alberta, there were 26 spills. 26. 22 of them were pipeline spills or releases. Huh? And in October, 24 pipeline. There were 41 altogether, and 24 of them were pipelines. There were more pipeline spills in September. In August, there were 39 spills, 28 of which involved pipelines. So come on. So the grand total for 4 months, 133 incidences of spills, you know, oil, gas, or some toxic relative. 90 of them involved pipeline spills, 68%. So way more than half involved pipeline spills. Why is that not in the news? Why is the Register not talking about that? I mean, this stuff is really important information. It's not getting out there. And instead, we're hearing the tiresome mantra of, we need the jobs, we need the jobs, we need the jobs. And the new mantra of, trains are more dangerous than pipelines. Trains are more dangerous than pipelines. Again, that's not the question. It's not trains or pipelines. It's renewables or fossil fuels. The world is waiting, folks, for the U.S. to take a leadership role on showing that it is ready to move in a big direction in renewables. And you know, we shouldn't even be having this conversation in Iowa. Iowa gets held up nationally for its commitment to wind energy. I mean, we have done amazing things with wind. And the utility company that I frequently criticize for lots of other good reasons has done a great job on wind. And I commend them for that. 30% of our electrical power coming from wind energy. We can, other states could do that, and we could even do better than that. And we are poised to do better than that. We are poised also to do more with solar, with small-scale hydroelectric. There's so much out there. I get so tired of the argument that, well, we're committed to the fossil fuel direction. We've got to keep going. We can't just pull the plug on it. Yeah. You may not be able to pull the plug on it tomorrow, but you could do it awfully quickly. And if we don't do it awfully quickly, we are going to be in a world of hurt. Okay, so in the 5 minutes remaining, folks, now I want to switch from criticizing the Register to complimenting them. Yes, it's always good to do that. When you talk to your kid, Charlie, you really should not have drawn crayons with crayons on your sister's forehead. But Charlie, I really like your choice of shoes today, and your socks, they match. You know, it's always good to do that. So, okay, the Register, lousy opinion on the pipeline and whatnot, but they get it when it comes to public transportation. And the MPO seemed to have gotten it because they talked about this back when they put together the Tomorrow Plan back in 2011. And again, this is good. You know, Des Moines has become an amazing place. It is the cultural and culinary crossroads of America. People who come here are impressed. People who do comparisons are impressed. The second best farmers market in the nation, Des Moines. The third most prestigious art festival, Des Moines. I mean, the list goes on and on. And yet that's going to slip if we don't understand the importance of committing to an infrastructure that is not just about cars. You know, and again, that's what the Tomorrow Plan took a modest step forward to trying to increase the investment in alternative transportation. Again, not just buses, but bike access, pedestrian access. And I'd love to see us eventually get into some kind of light rail option. But now the MPO, and again, the MPO is basically your council members from whatever city you may be in the metro area that are appointed to this board. And they're not getting it. They want to continue to allocate the standard amount of money to roads and bridges. That's automobiles. So this is an important conversation, and we should be talking with our MPO council members, if we're in the cities that they're representing, about why they need to commit to more alternative transportation if they want this city to remain and this region to remain the growing beacon of cultural and culinary prowess that it has become. Now, relevant to that, I was delighted to see an Iowa View in the paper this morning by the Court Avenue District, the Court District Association. These are the business owners who have funky, locally owned places down in Court Avenue. They do not want Hy-Vee on Court Avenue, and neither do I. And they point out, I mean, exactly right. You know, Court Avenue, the East Village, 13th and Locust, the Sculpture Garden area, Sherman Hill, these have all become funky, attractive, economically vibrant areas because of the local investment, because people, creative people, got an idea, entrepreneurial people got an idea. They went out and they took that idea, they made it work. They attracted clientele. And it's happening. It's created a climate where you've got stuff that people are excited about. Housing happens because of it. And yes, no doubt, downtown Des Moines could use better access to groceries. Although to me, Gateway Market is a great grocery store, and it's just down the street. I'm after the show, I'm walking there for a bite to eat and to do my grocery shopping. But if you've got to put a grocery store or grocery access in downtown, why not use the model that I came to appreciate in Paris years ago? You wanted to get ingredients for dinner? You didn't have to go to one store and get it all there. We've gotten into the mode of thinking in our country where if you don't get everything you need at one grocery store, something's wrong with that store, something's missing. No, do it like this. I mean, this is how it happened in France. We would get off the metro and we'd walk down a street, and within 2 blocks, we went into a butcher shop and got our meat. We went into a winery and got our wine for the most incredible wine for the most incredible price you'd ever imagine. And then there was a cheese shop, a few doors down from that. And then there was the place that sold fruit and vegetables. Wherever you went, each store was small and focused, specialized. And there's value to that. And one value is it doesn't disrupt the urban flavor, the culturally attractive element that we've developed. Yeah, you stick a massive Hy-Vee down in Court Avenue, or in my opinion, anywhere in Des Moines, anywhere in downtown Des Moines, and you're going to introduce a suburban type element. And trust me, suburbia, I'm sorry to all my friends living in suburbia, get out while you can. It is going to fail, crash. There's going to be nothing left of suburbia because it is not built around people. It is not designed for life. It's designed for steel, for automobiles. Yeah, enough said. I'll be back tomorrow, folks. I want to thank Maddie Kane, my producer, and Webcast One Live for providing this studio.